Are there particular regulatory hurdles that you have to deal with, challenges? When I think about the challenges in your business, regulation comes to mind. So thought I would start there and ask about that.
Oh yeah, it's awful. Yeah, it's awful. I mean, I'll give you a great for example. I will say there's a certain county that I'm not going to say their name in case any of these knuckleheads are listening in. That they don't. It's so many. They have too many people that are working there and too many decision makers and not enough people that are overly passionate about it. And so what ends up happening is basically to get permits, I have to circumvent the ladies in the office because they're all on their own power trips, the ladies and men in the office. They're all on their own power trips and they have their own ideas of how certain things want to do and this, that, and the other thing. And it's like I sometimes have to pay people to circumvent certain people in the office to get things done. It's not that I'm doing things illegally. It's just sometimes if you know that Patty over here will actually do her job and Miss Linda over there won't, or that Mike will and John won't, like, and if somebody has known John for 15 years and is like, give me $100 and I'll get the right person out there to inspect and approve your home, assuming you've done everything home and everything's safe, right? So it's like, to a certain degree, it's incredibly annoying to get things done. And not only that, some of the tax departments are ridiculous. I mean, I literally had to spend like a half a day putting together a whole case about why I was being overtaxed. And I submitted it. And the guy called me and he was like, dude, you're 100% right. And this is the easiest case I've ever had because you've provided me everything I need to get the taxes done. Oh, by the way, you know what I am. I'm a bureaucrat. You're going to have to pay the elevated tax bill. And then in 6 months, we'll get you a refund. He's like, dude, I'm sorry. It's just how it is. So, dude, all the time.
Wow.
I mean, I could do an entire podcast episode about all of the just stupid things that I have to go through. Now, don't get me wrong. There's a lot of really important things. Things like electrical, things like how are the joists on the underneath the mobile homes, like how is it, like these are people's homes that they're going to spend the majority of, and sometimes the majority of their day in these homes. They need to be safe. I'm not arguing that. I'm just saying if the local mayor is in charge of providing you with an electrical permit and he knows there's nothing wrong with the home and you know that he knows there's nothing wrong with the home, but he goes, I'm not going to give you this permit because I want X, Y, and Z. And then this didn't happen to me. This happened to a friend of mine. My friend was smart enough to hire the mayor's son to do some work at the property. And boy, oh boy, he got his electrical permits.
Interesting.
So corruption is shockingly ubiquitous.
So in terms of various challenges, how does it rank? Would you say that regulatory challenges rank more or less than, say, challenges with tenants and dealing with the people?
Oh, it's not even in the same ballpark. Tenants are always going to be the bread and butter of your headaches, right? So it's kind of like, so when I sold cars, they had these surveys, right? So you had to go and, oh, we want to clean up, Honda, hey, I want to clean up how people buy a car, their experience buying a car. So we're going to make you have a survey. And it's not just Honda, it's every single car manufacturer now has surveys for their car salesmen. And the reason why is because obviously, they want to sell more cars and they want it to be a more enjoyable experience. So they want to be able to hold their salespeople accountable. They also say this is not to be tied to your pay plan because we don't want to get BS surveys, right? Well, guess what happens? It's always tied to the pay plan some way, somehow, right? So in other words, you're incentivized to just be like, oh yeah, things are great, all fives, whatever. So, it's kind of like this, it's kind of, it's a very similar process here, right? Like, look, ultimately, you can hate the game all you want, but you got to play it. So for me, if you were to ask, what is regulatory, like use an analogy, a regulatory is to mobile home parks, like what is to what? Well, surveys are to car dealerships, right? So it's like, what's my biggest headache? Is my biggest headache the surveys? It's a headache, but it's not the biggest. I need to sell cars, right? So like I need to get my core business done. That being said, it is a huge pain in the butt that I have to worry about, basically every time I conduct my business. So yeah, it's a big portion, but eventually you figure out the rules, you figure out what you can and can't do, and as long as people are safe and paying their taxes, if John at the permit office wants to be a butthead or the local mayor wants to score some business for his son, as long as it's legal and no one's getting hurt, like sometimes you can hate the game, but you got to follow the rules.
Sure, sure.